What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Flipside.
Hey, welcome to the Flipside.
Hey,
Good to see you. Hey, you were leading worship at the women's gathering yesterday, were you not?
I was
Were you on the band? You were doing something here?
participating.
How was the women's gathering?
It was legit. It was amazing. Something about seeing like people, specifically women, just like go after God. It was an awesome time.
I was here a little Friday night. Seemed pretty awesome. So that's cool. That's cool.
Hey, Melissa, how did the women's gathering go? You were here. Nope.
Woo!
Come here, real quick. Come here.
Oh, dang. We're getting Melissa in? Okay, here you go. You're in here.
Oh.
There you go.
Well, how was your experience at the women's gathering?
It was amazing.
Yeah?
It was my first women's gathering.
Whoa.
So yeah, it was just so awesome to have women come together. The messages were great, speakers were on point, but the connection.
Tell them what you told. Tell them what you told me, not like in quite as detail, but tell them what just your favorite part was.
It was actually serving. Like it sounds so weird, but like getting to serve and pray with
Yeah, specifically, which part of serving was most meaningful?
being part of the prayer team.
Yeah.
I got to pray for some women, and it just was so uplifting for me. Like I don't know, God just really showed me like when you're giving, you're getting.
Cool.
Like he literally said, like as you pour out, I'm pouring into you. It was awesome.
Thanks,
Love
Melissa.
it. Love it. Now, Melissa and I are friends, so she's going to go because the only person I know who loves a microphone almost as much as me is you.
Yes.
And the person after you is her. Melissa, thank you. All right,
Thanks,
let's do these
Melissa.
flip side questions.
All right, Eric, I'm at a place in my life directly as a result of bad choices, decisions I know were not God's will. Now, as I see God's working in my life, I struggle to reconcile the blessings He is showing me against the sin in my past. Can the blessings I'm witnessing now truly be God's will when it took me defying His will in the first place to even be where I am today?
I love this question. This is the opposite of the why do bad things happen to good people question. This is the why do good things happen to bad people question. I love that you're asking this question.
Yeah.
And let me just encourage you that the answer is yes. The answer is yes, those are God's blessings, and He is gracious. That's why we celebrate grace. Look, fair ended in the Garden of Eden. It did. That's why it's encouraging and important to remember that He is with us, because some people make all sorts of horrible choices, run their life into the ground, and then that ground becomes fertile soil for earthly blessing now, and that just happens. And some people get run into the ground and are on the other side of this, and they're like, why is it working for him? We don't get to determine. So my encouragement to you would be to recognize that every good and perfect gift is from God, and to be thankful for His grace, and to pray that He would hold you close. Look, do you see the temptation in your question? You're going to be tempted to believe that you can screw it all up again and it'll work out for you. You're going to be tempted to think that you're gold. No, man, look, that's a temptation of Satan. He's going to try to devour you in that way. He tries to devour us all in different ways. So, yes, that is God's mercy to you. I'm thankful for that mercy. We should never presume on that mercy, because a lot of people don't get that story. But just give Him credit, specific credit for the good things in your life, and then use them for Him. That'd be my encouragement to you. That's a really humble question. I love it. Love it.
Very much. Our question too. How do I know God is involved in my story?
It's a great question. So a couple ways. The number one way is that Jesus said He is. And Jesus, we say around here all the time, when somebody predicts their own death and resurrection and pulls it off, we're just going to go with whatever He says.
Yeah.
And so He just rose from the dead, and then He says He's with you. So that's how we know. And if your reality is the opposite of the guy in question one or gal in question one's like, my life's so good, doesn't seem fair. Why do I get all this goodness? Question two might be from the perspective of, my life's really hard. How do I know God's at work in my story? You got to look back to the cross. We have to remember who Jesus is and what He has done. And then, like I just quoted it, James 1:17. I'd encourage you to memorize James 1:17. Every good and perfect gift is from above, from the Father of lights, in whom there is no changing, like shifting shadows. And when you keep that in your mind and you begin to say, okay, every good and perfect gift is from God, you will see all these little good gifts little good gifts that we just take for granted.
Yeah.
Like I saw a sign this week. Wawa's doing free coffee on Tuesday. I love Wawa free coffee on Tuesday because I
Let's
make my own coffee at
go.
home. And I just don't pay for coffee on the regular. But I love Wawa coffee. I'm like, man, I hope I hope it's all of November, and I'm just getting into it. Can't wait for free coffee Tuesdays. Now, some marketing person at Wawa decided to do that, but James said every good and perfect gift is from God. I'm like, Lord, thank you for free coffee Tuesdays.
That's right.
That would be my encouragement to you. And then, all the things we talk about all the time, being in community, get involved, serving, being here. I'd encourage you to be here on Sunday, join a serving team. These are all things that will help you to see God at work in your story. So yeah, that'd be my thought there.
I love this next question. Why is faith so hard? I hear you say Jesus has changed everything, but nothing feels any different than before. What am I missing?
It's great. Let's take this in multiple levels. One is we don't have to go just by our feelings. Like we put our faith in the historical resurrection of Jesus. So when you don't feel it, you have something to lean on. That's one. Another is I almost went to this verse instead of Matthew. I'll just share it with you here in 2 Corinthians 5. I'd encourage you to 2 Corinthians 5 if you're struggling with faith. Actually, 2 Corinthians 4 and 5. But in 5, he talks about 2 Corinthians 5:6. Therefore, we are always confident and know that as long as we are at home in the body, we are away from the Lord. For we live by faith, not by sight. It's required to live by faith. The reason faith is hard is that you can't see it. That's why it's hard. And faith doesn't mean that everything goes the way we want. And that's why I'd encourage 2 Corinthians 4 to you, because he talks about the fact that though it seems like everything might be going wrong around us, we walk by faith. So that's what I would encourage you. Now, let me offer some more practical. What are the things we can do to help us experience God's presence? Well, certainly corporate worship on Sunday. Let me give you a bonus one. If this is possible, I have no idea your scenario. Is it possible for you to take some time on Sunday before you come into the building to get alone and to spend some time focusing on Scripture, quieting your heart, little time in stillness? We open the doors a few minutes early. We're not a liturgical church, so as people are coming in, they're having coffee, they're having a good time. It's not like a necessarily quiet space, so you could do this at home before you come. But what would it look like to really prepare your heart before you come?
Yeah.
And I think you'll experience God meeting you in a different way in the service. I would encourage you to practice these beautiful disciplines of silence and quiet. I'd encourage you to go to our website, and there are some resources there about praying and reading the Bible that could be really helpful. There's a resource called Lectio Divina, which is just a Latin phrase that means sacred reading. That sounds like a big deal, but it's really just how to read the Bible in a way that slows you down. That could be a great thing to do. The devotional New Morning Mercies. Now I'm just listing resources. The devotional New Morning Mercies, a fantastic way to recenter us when we think, God, where are you? So those would be a few options there. Yeah.
That's good. That's really good. Eric, is there any significance to Jesus' promise, I am with you always, in Matthew 28:20, being delivered literally as he is ascending into heaven? From the disciples' perspective, would this have felt the opposite of being with them?
What a great question.
So it is a good question.
Yeah, I think there has to be, right? I think he wanted them to know, hey, I'm leaving, but I'm with you, right? And they had seen him, in his resurrected state, walk through walls. He did all sorts of, he has his resurrection body. It's not the same as our pre-resurrection bodies, and so I think there was. It's just like what's the human version of this? If you're going on a trip and you say to your spouse before you go, hey, I'll be thinking about you while I'm gone. Cool. Jesus can do one better. He's like, hey, I'll actually be with you. I was thinking about this phrase, and there just wasn't time to get into everything. But, right, what does it mean? It means that this is a whole another rabbit trail. But, right, we have 4 dimensions, right? We have, like we live in a 3-dimensional world moving through time, right? So that's time is the 4th dimension. But then Jesus being with us always is the fact that there's like this fifth dimension, which is spiritual. There's this heavenly reality, this spiritual world that we inhabit that is outside of time and space. That I think that has to be what he's talking about. How could he be with everyone always if he was limited, right?
It's good.
So there's this, and then that just goes like, right? Like heavenly realms and God's at work. But I think it is significant, and I think it's worth thinking about. We're thinking about how he could do that. If you want to have your mind blown, there is a Tim Mackey's the guy who did the Bible Project, and I just listened to a talk by him at 24/7 Prayer that I will get to our online team, and they can post it, where he's talking about this. That's probably why I'm thinking about it the way I am. That was just like, I listened to it twice, and I still don't know what it means, but I believe that it has to be true, that God is like bigger and out there and
Definitely.
around us in this really powerful spiritual way.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to check that out.
Yeah,
too,
I'll
so
pass it on.
definitely.
Sure. I'll get it to him.
I'm
Is
going
that,
to.
is that what we got?
I think that may be it. Eric, do you have any?
No, I'll look that up, and I'll find it on my phone and get it to people quick so they can post it out.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on the flip side. If you are watching now or via playback, we encourage you to stay connected with us via all of our social media platforms, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can hear this week's message or past messages. It's a great resource. Also, we talked a lot this series about the Word Go app.
Yeah, great, Jason. The Word Go app.
So I encourage everyone to download that app, and it's a great resource. My wife and I we're going through Root together now. We've only gotten through I think 1 or 2 chapters. It's slow, but
it's great.
It's a great resource.
Great.
Questions are after.
Love it.
It's time for us to connect with each other and with God. But yeah, other than that though, we will see you right back here after all the services next Sunday, guys. Until then, we will catch you on the flip side.